6 o'clock. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Ferris,
Present.
Heyman,
Here.
Mondragon,
Present.
Percival,
Present.
4 present, 1 absent. We have a quorum.
If you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have a approval of the agenda. I would like to go ahead and move that we approve, and looking for a second. Yeah. Do we need to remove item 2 first?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the removal of item 1, I request a motion to second.
Second.
Ferris,
Aye.
Heyman,
Aye.
Mondragon,
Aye.
Percival.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. I would like to request a motion for approval of the minutes from the 127 meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
Ferris,
Aye.
Heyman,
Aye.
Mondragon,
Aye.
Percival.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, this brings us to the non-agenda public comment section of this meeting. Persons wishing to address the commission on matters that are within the commission's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Planning Commission may not take action on an item that does not already appear on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The public comment section of the agenda is limited to a total of 1 hour. Each speaker is asked to provide his or her name. Any public comment on the phone? Seeing none. Okay, we will go ahead and start the public hearing. This is a general plan and code amendment for military overlay zone. Recommendation to City Council for the approval for updated to the general plan, zoning code, and zoning map. Staff report.
Good evening. We have our consultant here, David, and he's going to present this for us. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. And apologize 1 second here. This request is to update the military sustainability element and the land use elements of the general plan. Additionally, this request is to update the municipal code to incorporate a military influence overlay zone and a new dark skies ordinance. Following the request, will update the zoning map to implement the overlay zone. The military sustainability element currently implements the 2007 air installations compatible use zones. In 2011, the Navy updated the compatible use zone plan, which significantly expanded the noise contours as well as the safety zones for the base. This action, The proposed revisions to the military sustainability element would incorporate new flight patterns as well as the revised noise contours in the new safety zones. This action would also introduce 3 new policies to the element, which would include establishment of the military influence overlay zone, adoption of a dark skies ordinance, and encouragement for the city to restrict sensitive receptors within the noise contours. All other existing policies would remain. This project would also update the general plan land use map, which is within the land use element. As noted in the areas outlined in orange, the military influence area would be expanded within the general plan land use map to reflect the changes to the noise contours. Now, since the project would update 2 elements to the general plan, the requirements of SB 1000 now apply. This does require the city to incorporate environmental justice policies to address disadvantaged communities. In our study, we found that 8 of the 22 census block groups within the city meet the technical qualifications of being a disadvantaged community. Accordingly, we are recommending this action to include 5 new policies to the land use element for environmental justice. These policies include the city will support lead-based paint removal, new housing developments to have setbacks, ventilation systems, and landscaping to reduce pollution impacts on new occupants. Any new truck route shall avoid residential areas. New industrial developments to have electrical connections at the loading docks to avoid the need for trucks to idle. And the city should prohibit new wastewater facilities that would allow toxic chemicals to come in contact with groundwater supplies. Moving on to the zoning code, there are 2 new ordinances being proposed tonight. The first is the outdoor lighting dark skies ordinance. This ordinance would limit the nighttime light and glare. The city is currently enforcing the county's dark skies ordinance. This action would codify the regulations under the city's authority. The second ordinance would create a military influence overlay zone. The intent of this overlay is to minimize conflicts with military operations. High occupancy uses would be prevented from the safety zones, and sensitive to noise uses would be prohibited throughout the overlay. Any use that has the potential to create an impact on air operations would be subject to a CUP. This would allow the city to further analyze, mitigate, and if needed, deny those uses to avoid impacts. Now, our final proportion of the action we're requesting tonight is to update the zoning map to implement the new overlay zone. Both sub-areas of the overlay would be applied as shown on the map on the screens. We do have one change we'd like to read into the record to the code amendment ordinance tonight. The draft change ordinance has been distributed to you. Under section 106-353B3A would be updated to read as any transmission operating at a gain or frequency sufficient to interfere with testing or operations on China Lake. And this would be the uses that would be prohibited under this ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry, uses that would require a trigger the conditional use permit for this. Additionally, there was an error in the ordinance on the numbering of the sections. So the sections will be renumbered to make sure they are sequential in order. With that, that will conclude my report and available to answer any questions you may have on this.
Thank you. Any commissioner comments? David, we'll start with you.
I do have one, where it turns over, where it directs us to submit projects to the base for review. I noticed in the letter that there is no requirements for them for timelines to turn those projects. So what happens if a project is sent to them for review and it's slow rolled?
The code amendments didn't include timelines because you wouldn't be able to enforce those timelines on the military anyways. You do need to, it would have you still review them. Our experience is they are fairly quick on reviewing and kind of work with the city on making sure they're compliant with timelines that work within the project timeframes.
Okay. Well, that was kind of my question to Heather a few minutes ago. If, say, perchance it's not reviewed in a timely manner, who is the final approval authority? Is that still the city or is it the base?
Ultimately, the city would be the final approval authority.
Okay.
I would add, I have never experienced any delays in Navy review in the 8 years that I've been working with them. So I would say I've never experienced any slowness or any delays or any, misinformation. I've never experienced any re-adding, they are very efficient and they're very thorough that they provide that one answer and it's good. They're never coming back with more. So
I have a question. Has the Navy ever denied any?
no, they have not. They have which we've all seen, right? In many of our projects where they've requested different conditions. So it's not unusual for, and the majority of the time, those conditions are also things that the California Building Code requires anyway, as far as like the, soundproofing a lot. We've seen that. But those are things that are pretty much standard with energy efficiency now anyway. But still for them, they require it. And then on the towers and stuff that we see, they've never denied. They have had agreements in the past about certain frequencies or certain projection, but they've been able to work through that efficiently and get what they need. And the tower companies have all been able to move forward.
Okay.
Actually, I dug back to the records a little bit before you started here. There was a hotel chain looking at putting something on that side of town, and the base said no. Let's say that was a long document search I did at work, so. But, and I asked for the change in the statement because when I went back on the radio frequencies and magnetic, because when I went back and looked, there's actually only 3 areas of concern. There's our frequencies that are DOD owned that nobody else can be on. There's frequencies that have DOD priority, which they would not want somebody sharing that close to the base. And then there are a couple of frequencies that can basically jam those frequencies. So you wouldn't want those in the area. So what there was looking for was actually very limited in scope. We just had to define that statement a little better.
Acknowledge.
Thank you. This new overlay map is not going to impact or any future development, and it doesn't change any of the current zones, correct?
The base zoning would still remain in place. For the most part, there is no change to the permitted uses within those zones. There are some restrictions that would apply. For example, things that might trigger conditional use permits. A multifamily residential would trigger conditional use permits. Some of the electromagnetic issues or steam, smoke generation would trigger conditional use permits. So you're raising the level of review for those types of uses. And then certain uses have been restricted. You don't want in the safety zones, which are on the northern side of the city, you don't want high occupancy uses. So concert halls, movie theaters, those types of uses are pulled out of the code now for the overlay. And that's just a safety concern if there was a tragic accident, essentially. The other items would restrict a little bit further uses that would be sensitive to noise from the flights. And that's, daycares and senior living, those types of uses would be restricted.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, so I have a question on the dark sky ordinance. So that's essentially the same as Kern County, or is it different than Kern counties?
It is based off of Kern counties with very few changes to it. And most of the changes just to clean up the references to the city's code versus the county's code.
Okay, so I'm assuming just the residents wouldn't have to worry about like checking to see if their porch light is going to be compliant with the dark sky.
No, it'd be for new development essentially. And the biggest trigger is like uplighting and those types of issues that you don't generate a lot of glare from new uses.
Okay,
So.
thank you. That's my only question.
Vanessa?
I don't have any right now.
Okay. Is there any public comment? Anyone on the phone? I can't tell if there's anybody on the phone. No?
No.
Nope.
I will note for commissioners, you do have 2 emails that were sent in that are becoming part of the record that are public comment. There is one from Carol Vaughn, and there is another from Christian Schultz. So these are part of the record, and you do have them before you.
Thank you, Heather. At this point, I'll go ahead and ask the commission for a motion to approve.
All motion to approve.
Second.
Ferris,
Aye.
Heyman,
Aye.
Mondragon,
Aye.
Percival.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, and we've pulled number 2, correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. You know, Heather, with the information provided that anything that needs to be or potentially be developed, the conditional use permit allows for a lot of flexibility, it seems like, on this overlay. So it never appeared to me that it was going to minimize any development or stifle anything. And it's nice to know that if anybody needs to get or come before the commission for a conditional use permit, that that's still an opportunity that they have. So thank you for pointing that out. Let's see. That'll be my commissioner comments. How's that? Vanessa? Bernie?
Nothing.
David? No. Okay. Any staff items?
I will just clarify, this is the first, because what we just heard and what you guys just approved is a recommendation to city council. So this will go before city council, the second meeting in March. I believe that's the 18th. So March the 18th will be the first reading of this ordinance to city council, and then it has one more meeting at city council as well. So this will be still out for a little while. And then I don't have anything else.
Travis, Mr. City Manager?
Nothing
Okay.
to report.
If there's nothing else from the commission, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 6:17. Thank you all.